You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 205 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with my mediocre co-host, Mr. Jeffrey Gargis. Jeffrey, how are you?
Well, you've used that one before, but it's so accurate. I can't really argue with it.
Hold on. We're on 205. I just have to, make up these words because our guests submit them and they're not nice. So I have to come up with decent ones. And mediocre, just be okay with mediocre, dude.
I said I'm not going to argue with it. It was accurate. I said it was accurate. I don't know why
you pointed it out, and now we're talking about it. And geez, this is the worst minute of a podcast.
I love how you're saying that you make up the words as if you're inventing these words and you can't just Google words. But whatever. Anyway,
hey,
I'm doing well, Ray.
Let's start this over. Hold on. Episode 205 of Teach Better Talk. Jeff Gargis, how you doing, buddy?
I love your voice with there. Episode 205 of Teach Better Talk. Sunday. That's what you sound like right there. I'm doing fantastic now that you did your rewind thing, which is great.
I think that's what rewind sounds like. Nobody's corrected me before.
You've done that several times. I need to go find all the episodes in which you did that and make like a minute long just Ray going.
Wait, speaking of
mixed
you
with your
that,
drum rolls, the drum rolls that you do too.
Yes. Speaking of you saying that, I have a complaint, and I'm glad that we're on the podcast because we have not talked about this. Okay. Here's my complaint. Episode 200, listeners, if you have not listened to episode 200, go check it out. But it was full of shenanigans, like the entire episode. The episode you're listening to right now, I just want to make sure you know this. Our guest, Alexis, is so spot on. Feel free to just fast forward through this stuff. But
yeah, Mark Heller, go ahead and click forward.
Exactly. He always does. But in episode 200, that was a full, 45 minutes of shenanigans. And yeah. I really expected for you to put bloopers at the end because sometimes you do that and there was no episode 200 bloopers. I just want to file a formal complaint. If I could please be on record filing a formal complaint. I'm just saying.
So I didn't do bloopers because there were no bloopers because I didn't edit anything out.
Oh, everything, all the shenanigans were just there.
The entire episode was bloopers. So I just left everything as it was. There was one point in that episode, it was pretty far in, where I literally stopped and I'm like, are we still recording?
Yes, you're right.
Because I wasn't 100% sure we were recording.
Yeah.
That's a great episode. Go to listen to episode 200. It was a good time with Chad and Megan and Caitlin on there and having a good time. So, but this is episode 205.
Yeah, and it was way better, just to confirm.
It was way better. Alexis is better than all of us put together. That's basically what it is. So before we get into Alexis, can we talk about... We've got a really cool event kicking off on the 30th of this month, on September 30th, our Teach Better Mindset Meetup, which is a 6-week webinar series. Can I do this thing where I'm like, hey, Ray, can you just rant on this thing for 60 seconds?
I would love to. Right now?
Because I know how pumped up you are for this and the people that are coming to it. So, all right, we're going to do a countdown in 3, 2, 1, go.
Guys. Mindset Meetup webinar series is going to be so killer. I'm not going to stay within the time frame because I'm too excited about it. So essentially, here's what we did. So we did so much professional development. I know all of you already heard about it. I mean, when COVID hit, we shifted our entire company, and our mission has been to support you. And so a lot of you guys have been saying, we need more webinars. We need more webinars. So we ran 4 in July. We've been trying to run as many as possible. And then as we get into the school year, guys, I'm living and breathing it right now. It just gets busy. So we're like, okay, how do we still provide really fun support, being able to still connect with our family, all those things, but in a way that's manageable for an educator who, depending on what you're teaching right now and the environment you're in, you might be on camera for 8 hours a day. You're feeling like you're working 24/7. I mean, we're in a really challenging time. And so we're like, here's the deal. we are going to do 2-hour blocks. We bring in 2 phenomenal speakers every single week, and they are just going to share all their love and insight and passion with you, and they're going to be recorded. That way you can jump in live if you have an educator that you're super passionate about seeing, like, hello, CJ Reynolds or Trey Gamage or Dr. Valerie Camille-Jones, like people that you are so stoked, Kevin Butler, Michael Jennings, all them. Or if you're like, hey, I am so tired, I just need permission from the Teach Better team to like take a night off, we're giving you that permission. You can watch the recaps in the Academy, and you automatically get access to that by registering for the webinar. And I think that's the best part, because you don't want to miss out on the insight from like Dr. Neil Gupta, Allison Epsy, Tracy Browder, P. Sloan Joseph, like all these people. We don't want you to miss out, but we also want you to know that we get it. And this is more than just sharing passion, love, and professional development. It's about also getting you what you need whenever you're ready to receive it. So you can go register at teachbetter.com/mindset meetup. Mindset meetup. You can read all the people that are involved, what's going on for those 6 weeks, and I don't know, make sure that you're signed up so you not only get access for the live Zoom link where educators are going to be interacting with audience members and taking questions and doing some great deep dive and training, but also just the recordings that will hopefully inspire you and, you know, kick you off the right energy for the week.
That was pretty much perfect. Nice job. I don't think it was 60 seconds, but I don't
It
care.
wasn't. Sorry.
Let's do what we always do. Because you're awesome and you listen to this podcast, can we do like a big discount on registration?
Wait, yeah, because I was going to say that. It's $150 to register for like these 6 weeks, 12 speakers. So what's the crazy discount you're thinking?
And also, by the way, you know, you get the 6 weeks. It's 12 different sessions across the 6 weeks, and the replays you get access to forever. So like, you know. Anyway, let's do 50% off, half price. When you go to register, look for there's a little thing that you can click to put in a discount code. Put in Teach Better Talk. We'll make it super easy. Yeah. 50% off. Boom. Done. There it is.
50% off,
cool.
not $50. You're saying 50%.
No, 50%. Half price. Slice it in half. Is that okay? Am I allowed to do that?
I am so game for 50% off for podcast listeners.
Cool.
That is the coolest thing. Yes.
Awesome. So that's that. So teachbetter.com/mindset meetup and use the code teachbettertalk. Boom. Awesome. Loving it. Let's talk about this episode. Alexis Shepard is a 6th grade ELA teacher down in South Carolina, 9 years teaching, and holy cow, is she just passionate about what she's doing, about working with her kids, and also the work that she does to try and help educators just be their best self, to come back, to have this resilient mindset that she talks about that I love. Her story of the failure, I know I talk about loving the failure stories, and I do, but I just really enjoyed her story and what she took out of it. This was a fun episode. We had a great time with her. She was a blast. I think you're going to see a lot more of her in the Teach Better world. Pretty sure we got it convinced for her to start blogging with us at teachbetter.com, but we just had a blast. She is so passionate, so much value in this episode. Ray, outside of the fact that like she's our best friend now, what should everyone take away from this episode?
Hold on. I don't like that you just set me up like that, because I could give you a million things liked about this episode, but I wanted my piece of like snippet here to be like, hey, I'm not only wanting to be her best friend, but I've been stalking her on social media for now the past hour. So I wanted to like admit that. But if you want me to actually share advice, I think that her stories are so rich, like so incredible, that this is going to be an episode that you don't necessarily want to multitask during. So if you're listening to this in the car or in the shower in the morning, like good. But if you're in the midst of like washing dishes or lesson planning, you want to like really put it down, take a breather, and really enjoy this one, because it is well worth it.
Absolutely agree with that. And so with that, let's get an episode 205 with Alexis Shepard.
All right, guys, I'm hitting pause on this episode only to make sure that you have all the details you need for our Mindset Meetup webinar series. Now, for those of you who have not yet registered, this is a 6-week webinar series with all-star educators, guys like Trey Gamage and Dr. Valerie Camille-Jones and Kevin Butler and P. Sloan Joseph, Tracy Browder, and so many more. Now, you do need to register at teachbetter.com/mindset meetup to be a part of the live virtual event, but I want to make sure you had a special 50% off. Let me say it again. 50% off code. So here we go. It's easy. Teach Better Talk. All one word, no spaces. Use that to get 50% off of our Mindset Meetup webinar series over at teachbetter.com/mindset meetup. All right, let's get back to this episode.
All right, we are here and we are chatting with Alexis Shepard. And Alexis, it's awesome to have you on. We've been chatting a little bit before we hit record and just excited to learn more about you and your story and everything you do. Before we get too far into all of that, how are you feeling right now?
I am feeling good. I mean, I'm a little tired and slightly overwhelmed if I'm being completely honest, but I'm good. I'm definitely in a better space than I thought that I would be, especially after having started school back just a couple of days.
Well, I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so excited to talk about school and going back and all the things you're doing right now, because you are a fellow 6th grade teacher, which I love because I teach 6th grade as well. But before we get too far into it, I want to make sure our listeners kind of hear all about you. So would you mind kind of sharing, if somebody asked you what you do, how would you best describe that?
Sure, yes. So I am a 6th grade ELA teacher. So I'm all things reading, writing, listening, speaking. ELA was actually my favorite subject in school. And so I actually love teaching it. And I love teaching my students how to be better listeners and better communicators. Like, that's my ultimate goal with my students. I teach in the upstate of South Carolina, specifically Clemson, if people are familiar with that. And on the side, or at least I like to say on the side, I help empower teachers towards wellness in hopes that better wellness for them will also lead to better experiences for our students. And perhaps those of us who, or those individuals who, so often become overwhelmed and frustrated, are able to find a sense of peace such that they're able to do their jobs with joy, and such that they're able to stay in classrooms longer if that's what they so. So kind of twofold there.
All right, so anyone who knows me knows I'm going to dive into that because your on the side comments got me wondering what that means. So can you explain, is that just something that you would really enjoy doing, or do you have something established? Like, do you have like an organization or programs that you do, or is it just something that you're really passionate about? I'm just trying to, which way, I'm determining where my next follow-up questions are going to be is what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love that too. So when I say on the side, it's kind of both. It's a combination of, it's a passion, and it's a passion that has grown into the ability for me to have some opportunities to do a little more with it. So I've done some sessions at some conferences. Most recently, I was a part of something called the Educator Resilience Conference, which was this phenomenal opportunity for educators to get some free professional development where they were able to learn how they can start the school year with more of a resilient mindset, so that we can, we know that this year is going to be challenging. And so that we have some coping mechanisms and strategies and information to help us power through the year in a way where, rather than being depleted, we're going to be able to refill and pour into our kiddos. So it's a little bit of both. I'm extremely passionate about it, but the passion has led to a variety of opportunities for me to be able to do some one-on-one coaching with teachers who, desire it or need it, and to be able to reach people at conferences and on podcasts. So it's really been an amazing journey.
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure you could expect that I'm going to tell Carrie to reach out to you and see if you would come and maybe contribute to our blog over at teachbetter.com.
100%.
I'm feeling the passion. I'm loving your resilient mindset, what you wanted to do and stuff. And if we can somehow continue in another way outside this podcast, help you raise that passion and share it, I want to make that happen. So it's going to happen. Carrie listens at the very least, so she's going to hear it and go anyway. But no, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. So that's, and I love the resiliency, which kind of leads kind of really cool into the next question we usually talk about. The first question I usually throw at everyone, which is all about failure and how we get through that and overcome that, or how we can fight that with resiliency. So can you share a story with about a time that you've had a challenge, a failure in your life that you've had to overcome? Kind of share us what happened, how did you overcome that, and then what did you take away from that experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So those people that know me well and hear this podcast will know that this is my old war story. But so I'll share. So this is my 9th year teaching. And I would say I really experienced significant overwhelm and just feelings of just bitterness and anger towards teaching around year 4. I was at a school where I didn't have the most supportive administration, and my group of students that year was very challenging. I also had some sort of limiting beliefs that were a problem as well, but I didn't recognize that at the time. And so I was really, really ticked off, really angry, really stressed to the point where I had no emotional capacity for or mental capacity for anything outside of work. And when I got home, I felt like I couldn't do anything or expend energy on anything else so that I could save my energy to just have the wherewithal to get up and go to work. So that happened year 4, and I really thought I've got to get out of teaching. I know I haven't been in this that long, but it's time to go. Okay. I didn't do anything at that point, but year 6, I experienced similar feelings. My group of students was not as challenging, but I really felt like I was ready to. And so year 6 was really, I'm going to call it the year of sort of multiple failures, but they were all multiple failures within the same vein, which is actually what led to this passion that I have for educator wellness. So year 6, I was just in general frustrated with the profession, with the red tape, with, some of the challenges that a lot of us experience in teaching that go with the job. There was nothing really new or revolutionary or super dramatic happening. I was just over it, to put it simply. So I decided that I was going to apply my way out. And so I applied for several jobs. It was actually 6 total jobs. And it was anywhere ranging from like a college lecturer to instructional coach to I think there was like a virtual instructional coach position that I applied for as well. And I was really convinced that this was how I was going to be able to get my way out of this really frustrating, overwhelming. Because even though my kids that year were great, I had great families to work with, I was in a mindset where I could not get out of, sort of those negative feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied for all those jobs. I didn't get any of those jobs. I didn't even get callbacks from any of those jobs. None of those jobs reached out to me. It's kind of like I put the information out there and nothing happened. And that summer, again, this was 2018, I was super duper frustrated. And it was like, okay, it's July. I know I've got to get ready to go back to school. And I had a little bit of a mental breakdown, completely honest. I called one of my good friends and I was like, listen, I cannot do this. I really cannot go back into the classroom. It's too stressful, and I had all of these sort of reasons why. So at that point, once I kind of got through the meltdown, the physical meltdown portion, I recognized that one of my main problems at that time was myself. It really was my mindset and my mentality. So at a certain point, shortly after the breakdown, I was like, okay, I've got to facilitate a paradigm shift. Like I've got to get my mind somewhere else so that I can be able to think outside of all of the negativity and all of the overwhelm that, and the thing is, it was summertime. It's not like negativity and overwhelm was happening right then, but sure. I was, but I had really just kind of blocked myself in with all of this negative thinking about what would happen, what might happen, what could happen. It's teaching. So it's going to be like this and A and B is going to happen. And that's kind of the shortish version is that I facilitated a paradigm shift for myself. And that started with one of my favorite books that I recommend to every teacher. It's called Unshakable by Angela Watson, 20 Ways to Enjoy Teaching Every Day. And it was a game changer for me because it was affirming in a lot of ways. And it helped me start thinking outside of those limits.
I love everything about that. I'm going to go literally pick up that book right now, ordering it on Amazon.
It's phenomenal. It really is. And it's not that she says anything revolutionary. It's that, I find that teachers, a lot of times we go into teaching with these, certain set of beliefs that we think are going to make us good at what we do. I call it the good teacher narrative. And a lot of times that narrative is so limiting because it boxes us into a certain set of beliefs, a certain set of actions, a certain, set of teaching styles, a certain way of being. And it's so much more than that. And so that book really helped me see that, like, oh my gosh, there are so many things that I'm already doing that are just based on what I think is best for kids, that like somebody else thinks is good for kids too.
No, I love it.
Ray, I want to jump in. I want to point something that I love that you kind of touched on, is that you said it's not like she said anything revolutionary. And I think that's we get confused with books. Some of the best books in the world are not books that include something that are just unbelievably mind-blowing, but it's the way the author phrases it or supports around it that just teaches us it in a different way that can really just explode. I talk about Adam Welcome's book Run Like a Pirate, where he said a whole bunch of stuff that I've heard a million times before, but he said it in the right way. And it sounds like the same thing that she did there. Is like, there are things that you were already thinking of doing, and there was this way that she was either reaffirming what you believed or phrasing it slightly different so you could just hear it and accept it differently. And I just love that point. So,
Jeff, it's weird. Didn't you mean Adam Welcome's new book, Teachers Deserve It? Isn't that the book you were referring to?
No, I didn't. I meant
That's
Adam.
So that's what I heard. I heard Adam Welcome's new great book he co-authored with Ray Hewart, Teachers Deserve It. That's what I heard, just so you know.
I need to get a little bell to ring every time you self-promote yourself like that.
Oh my God, you did not just say that.
I love it so much.
That's the meanest thing ever. You're fired, Jeff Gargis.
Alexis, have you read Ray's new book?
Oh, get out of here. Stop.
That she allowed Adam Welcome to put his name onto.
Oh, okay. Alexis, we got to go back to you here.
You got to be your own best. You got to be your own best advocate. Okay, I'm here for it.
I'm just saying, if he's going to cite a book that my co-author wrote, cite the one I wrote with him. That's all I'm saying, people.
I'm going to take us in a whole nother direction here. Alexis, I have to share this with you, that every time I say your name, my Echo Dot is lighting up and listening to me and trying to give me information because she thinks I'm saying Alexa. So you are like officially just always with me, apparently. So
yeah, listen.
I'm sorry, like, while we're going back and forth, I'm like turning it down because she's like reading me information. I'm like, I'm not talking to you, sir, or Alexa, or whatever. Anyway, this is great. I love where this episode's going. A little bit of back and forth. I didn't even hear it because I was laughing too much. But have you read anything that Ray's ever done?
No, I haven't. But listen, I know that Ray.
She does some good things.
That's why I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm on here with celebrities.
Oh my gosh, Alexis,
celebrity. Which one? Just her.
You are way cooler than we are, and we got to get this back on track because holy cow, has Jeff completely derailed your podcast. You should be so upset with him right now.
Oh my gosh! Don't do that to Jeff. Don't do it.
I think there's
it's what I do best.
You shared so many good things so far. I just don't want Jeff to ruin the entire episode. So we're going to try and get back on track here. Not sure that we can. But I actually can save this by asking you something I've been excited to ask you because of the stories that you shared. But if you had to pinpoint something that's exciting you about education right now, what would be your top pick?
Oh my gosh. Probably just the rethinking. And I'm talking from a perspective of someone. I would say that I'm pretty good with change. I'm not someone that's resistant to change. At least that's not what I say about myself. Because we all know that our educational system has needed some overhaul for some time. But the overhaul that's needed is something that we know would never happen under normal circumstances. We've always needed this kind of shakeup where the things would be turned on their heads and we had to rethink. And so coronavirus comes and ta-da, there's this pivot, this huge pivot that has to happen with the way that we are doing school, with the way that we do teaching. And that's really exciting because I think out of this are going to come some processes and ways of thinking that are going to shift just as far as really what's important. One of the things that I've noticed about my own practice is that when it comes to thinking about what I'm going to teach, what is the most important thing, as experienced practitioners, I think it's very easy because we know what we're doing to kind of the essence of what it is that we really want our students to know or be able to do is lost. So I think that there's this movement or the potential for this movement to really get back to that, to get back to what's most important, which I think is going to be great for kids, because then we're really going to be able to dive into the meat and potatoes of what kids really need to learn and be able to do. And I'm not even just talking academically, I'm talking life skills, right? Like, one of my goals with my kids this year is to just process what we've been through the last 6 months.
Yes, that's awesome. I love everything about that. I think that is so essential right now. And I love that we are comfortably, uncomfortably forcing each other to be so reflective. I think that is so important, even though it's forced upon us right now, so stinking important, outstanding. So if you had to give one piece of advice, right? Like only one piece of advice, and this can be to a new teacher or it could be to a teacher who's been in the classroom for 30 plus years, what is your piece of advice that you'd love to share with educators?
It's okay to scale back your routine from the 5 things that you're used to accomplishing in your class to 2 or 3 things that you're accomplishing, especially if you're able to really boil what you're teaching down to that essence of what you to keeping things simple in terms of your own routine and not feeling like you have to do and be all of the things. I think simplicity is.
Yeah, I love that. That's such an important. I think that's so crucial right now, because there's so many options when it comes to tools that we can bring in and different platforms for delivering content and all the different apps, and there's so many amazing things out there that if you're trying to do so much, you feel like you need to have so many, it can be so overwhelming. You're so right. So like just keeping it simple is being okay with keeping it simple is such a crucial thing. And honestly, focusing on simplicity can be really, really valuable and really, really strong, so that you're only using the things that are really the right tools, the right things for your students. I think that's a super valuable advice right now. So let's have some fun. We're going to do the next 6 questions. Your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. Are you ready?
Yes. I believe I'm ready.
All right, here we go. What is one EdTech tool you cannot live without?
Screencastify.
Give us a book that you're reading right now.
Start with Why by Simon Sinek, and I'm also sort of in the middle of Teacher Wars by Dana Goldstein.
Who do we need to follow on social media today?
Education with an Apron. Happy Teacher Revolution.
And give us a good YouTube channel or website for educators to check out.
A great YouTube channel, Pocketful of Primary. I have always loved her videos.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
I personally love having my weekly self-care planner sheet. I actually got it from Self-Care for Everyone, but you literally set a goal for the week for self-care, and then the rest of the sheet helps you track it. Loving it.
And what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
You are enough.
Ooh, nailed it.
Mic drop right there. Love it.
Nice.
That's Teach Better Talk trophy worthy right there. You are
Send it. Package it up. Send it. Let's do it.
happening.
Y'all are cracking me up.
Alexis, I have loved everything that you've shared, much less that piece of advice. So good. I want to make sure our listeners can stay connected to you, because I want them to continue learning from you and continuing the conversation around all these different things that you're passionate about. Would you mind sharing how they can stay connected?
Absolutely. So it's super simple. On Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, I am the Afro Educator. Afro Educator is all one word.
Which makes it super easy for us. I love it.
Yeah.
You can find all the links and all the resources and everything we've talked about in this episode over at teachbetter.com in the show notes, as well as those super easy to remember links to connect with Alexis and keep the conversation going. So head over to teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us that rating and review, we'd really appreciate that as well. And let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators, and share this podcast with them. Alexis, this was awesome. I'm so happy that you were able to come on. And there's so many I was jotting down notes the entire time. I'm so excited for people to hear this and learn from you and grow with you. And I'm excited to continue to be connected with you and learn and grow with you all the time as well. So thank you so much for coming on and giving us a little bit of your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.